So this is my presentation for modelling for animation and VFX. Start with the robot. I began with the Herald of Joy robot, but I found it a bit too complicated to approach due to its body shape and the shape of the arms. I couldn't quite figure out how to make ball joints, but I think in my finished model I actually managed to get something that worked for posing. It wasn't perfect, but we'll have a look at it. So this is the robot that I stuck with to the end. Just this slide, it was me blocking out the key shapes, and I went a bit over the top with the shoes at the start, but the rest of it's quite blocked out. And then the fingers and chest area I used bevel. As you can see, the bevel here and here. It just made it easier to make clean and nice shapes that looked good. And then it was just about parenting everything to the center object. So my center object was my torso here and the lower waist part, and it was all parented inside from a plus shape, I suppose, from corner to corner. And then I was just getting it into the basic shape that came with the image. And then alongside that I was adding just objects, so obviously you see the picture here. I've added the spring and the cog and also the cloth I did, and I made that with a physics engine that comes with Blender, and it comes with a cloth preset, so that was really useful. And I had to figure out how to make constraints so it would look like the robot's holding the cloth rather than it just fall through his hands. And I did that by adding a weight constraint to certain polygons on the mesh. That's why you can see here it's locked in this certain point, but the rest of it's quite soft. And then I went on to texturing, so I really wanted to go for a toon sort of style. I did come back to it in my still life, but it just wasn't really looking right. I couldn't quite figure it out. I liked the eye, but he had a green eye and I really wanted to get that green eye, but I couldn't do that with the toon shader I was trying to create. As you can see here, this is the toon shader I made for the head, and it was a lot of playing around with lights, and it was very complicated, and I had to replicate that on every single object, and I couldn't quite figure it out. In my still life I figured out a better method for it. Without having to use lots of lights, you just use a single light and a color shift, and it worked really well. So here's just a closer look at, this is the outline, so that's how I created the black outline for it, and then that all connects to the other part of the shader. And then this was the final render, so I went with just a it's sort of a boring rust design. It captures more of the original image, but it doesn't look as nice as I would hope. Other than that, it's a fine render. I'm quite pleased with how it came out. Only thing I would do differently is make it so it's riggable, because I really wanted to animate this robot, but because of the way I created it, it just wouldn't rig properly. The knees, they wouldn't bend right, it would all morph out of shape. But that's the robot. And then the fantasy still life, I didn't get a lot of pictures, so it would just be a lot of audio for this part. But here was just, so particularly here, I used the NURBS curve, which is one of the presets for curves that comes with Blender, to create the pearls on the still life. So that's how I created that. This is the finished render of the still life. So particularly the pearls, I was quite pleased with them. I made a NURBS curve, and then I parented just a basic object of a sphere, and I parented it to the vertices of the NURBS curve. So every single orb ball you see along the line, it's connected to a vertice. And yeah, I came back to the toon shader because I really liked how it looked. I tried it on just the book, and that was what confirmed, I wanted to just completely do it. And I feel like it captures more of the original image. There's the original image. As you can see, it's sort of like a toony like vibe to it, very like characterized, stylized, and that's what I wanted to recreate with my one.